Let's not waste any time. Here are the top 10 challenges that I faced when I ran my clothing business. Challenge 1, product designing. If we go back to when I first started this business, one of the original obstacles was designing my products. Initially, we sold hoodies and shirts, so it was a pretty easy start, but I still had no skills in design whatsoever. We wanted the brand to have a casual streetwear vibe, while also capturing the Japanese car culture, which was our niche. But luckily, there was a ton of inspiration that I could just search up on Google, like JDM shirts, JDM hoodies, JDM clothing designs. There's so many. So that's where I started. I found designs on Google and I copied them. The process was pretty simple. I downloaded some blank mock-ups of shirts and hoodies, and I took some designs from Google, imported them all into my designing software, and let my creativity do its thing. I didn't have any experience, so I had to practice somewhere. And if you're in a similar case, having no skills in a particular field, most likely you're going to have to take the long road and the hard pains and the hard struggles in order to grow and develop. This may take longer for you than it did for me, but it's a great ROI. Skills and education always comes first. The thing is, for me, it only took a couple of weeks to get the hang of it. I made my designs on Adobe Illustrator, which is a pretty easy platform to start on, in my opinion. I still use Illustrator today to make my Instagram posts and my thumbnails. The first designs that I made were obviously trash, but as time passed by and I started practicing more and more, I got more experience, and obviously I got better and more efficient in the process. But I also suffered from the creator's block from time to time, which is basically the overwhelming feeling of being stuck in the creative process without being able to move forward or make anything new. So I dealt with this problem by taking breaks, writing notes on my notebook, drawing designs by hand, and brainstorming with my business partner. And that is how I solved the designing process. Challenge 2, clothing suppliers. This is probably a nightmare for anyone who's starting a clothing business. If you are, then you can relate to this a lot. We had no idea where in the world we would get a recurring supply of clothes. Luckily, we started off easy with basic shirts and hoodies, right? If we had like unique fashion garments, then we would have been screwed. We did start off pretty basic, but to be honest, we were completely new to this whole market and this whole industry, especially because it was my first business and I've never made a single product in my entire life. But first, we searched online for a supplier and we found a company named Printful. Printful let me import my designs into their platform, and they also had an option to order them as physical samples. So that's what we did. At the time, I had 3 designs that I finalized, so I ordered all of them and we got straight into taking photos. After the samples arrived at my door, the first thing I did was go outside, drive my car, go to a park, and take photos of myself wearing the clothes. But that's a different problem for later. Printful also had the option to integrate their supply to our online store, which at the time was Shopify. So we tried it out for a while. The problem was it costed a lot of money for their supplies because they were a business too, looking for profit. So that meant we had to raise our prices by like a lot. We sold our shirts for like $50 and over just to make a couple of bucks back. It was a horrible system, but surprisingly one person did buy a shirt for $50. Now I'll never forget him, but we still needed to find a new supplier. So we went around our local shopping centers to find the most reliable source of clothes, at least for shirts and hoodies back then. And we did. We found a huge store that had an unlimited supply of cheap shirts and hoodies for us to sell. And this made our profit margin increase dramatically. But we didn't have any machines to print our designs. Challenge 3, manufacturing. At this point, we needed the right machinery and equipment to print our designs onto our clothes, but we were dead broke. So buying $3,000 machines was not an option. Luckily, our connections led us to a factory owner, and she let us rent out her office that had all the equipment that we needed. I gotta say, this is probably the luckiest catch that we've ever encountered in the whole business journey. I don't know where the business or the brand would be today without this opportunity. So when you're in these golden ticket situations, always take a chance. Anyways, I started learning how to use all the machines that I needed. In this case, it was the heat press, the DCG printer, and the vinyl cutter for the stickers that we were selling. If you don't know what the hell I'm talking about, these are the machines that made our sticker and clothing products. But it wasn't too difficult to operate them. It took me only a few hours to learn everything, but it took me months and months to be able to efficiently manufacture my products. So I had to get to work, and that wasn't easy. In fact, it was fun at the start until it started to feel like work. Labor was one of the biggest issues in my business because we didn't have any employees, so we had to do everything by hand. It was a great experience, although it was excruciating, and I learned a lot of lessons. I made lots of mistakes, ruined lots of shirts, and developed real discipline. And that was all the issues I faced behind the scenes of my first business. But wait, that was only half the story. I still needed to promote my products. Challenge 4, content ideas. Content played a humongous role in my business. So huge that we thought we didn't even need ads. But that's another problem I'll talk about later. I had a good amount of experience in YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram at the time. You can say I was a content amateur. I knew how to film, edit, and post content on social media. But the first issue here was coming up with ideas. I had no clue what type of content to make. So we decided to go on the typical TikTok clothing brand strategy. Film models in clothes, edit videos with trending music, and spam as much content as possible on all platforms. And you can probably tell this didn't do well. For months, we've tried everything from following trends to posting 5 times a day on TikTok to posting motivational videos. Yes, motivational videos. My content did not do well. I was suffering. I spent so many hours a week just to edit as many videos as possible until it became so repetitive just for it to get less than 200 views. Now imagine you went through this process. Film, edit, post again and again and again with no results for months. Anyone would feel like giving up. I wasn't smart about my content strategy because I wasn't changing things up. More, better, new. This is the framework that I use for all my content that I put out today for this channel and the other platforms that I'm on. More content, better content, and new content. If more content starts slowing down, you shift onto making better quality content. If that starts slowing down, then you shift into making completely new ideas and concepts and topics. And this doesn't apply to only content creation. In business, you can use this frame in advertising, but I don't have much experience yet. Anyways, the huge turning point in my business's content was when I found the AI voiceover tool, 11 Labs it's called. It was also rising up on TikTok at the time. So I tried it out and I made a video talking about what my target audience is. I know, smart, right? I did this so I can reach my audience and get their attention by talking about them. Genius. And this video did better than usual. So I made another one of these. This time I talked about what our brand's purpose is. And that is when everything changed. We started blowing up. Views, customers, followers, shares, reposts, community growth. We were getting all the eyeballs we wanted. And here's a quick lesson I wanted to share from this. If you think you're failing, you're not. You just don't know the right moves to make. But as long as you keep on moving forward and giving up isn't an option for you, you will win. This is one of the biggest lessons I learned from my business, and I just shared it with you, so subscribe. Anyways, we found our content sweet spot, but now it was time to go back and start creating more. Challenge 5, shooting content. Filming videos and shooting photos sounds easy until you get tired. But I had a system for shooting content. Contact models or friends to meet up at certain locations, give them my clothing products to wear, tell them the poses and actions I wanted to capture, take photos of everything, and take videos of everything at the same time. This process usually took about 2 hours per person, per model, and whenever I went out and did a shoot with multiple people, it was a hassle for me because I was the only person who was shooting content. I was the only guy who was hands-on. I had to manage everything myself, from the planning to the managing to the hands-on process. But then again, it was such a great skill to learn, to take charge and give orders and to be able to have all hands on deck. I felt like a movie director every time. It was really fun. All the models also enjoyed their time. I did a shoot once to maybe 3 times a month to promote a major product release or just to take casual footage. Everything I learned during these photo shoots and video shoots were skills, pure skills. So at the end of the day, it was an amazing experience to be able to plan, manage, lead people, capture content, record content, and socialize. But no matter how many more content I create, I needed to do better. Challenge 6, editing content. After finding the AI voiceover tool, I stuck with it for the rest of my business journey. And that was the problem. I stuck with it for so long, I didn't even bother to find something new to tackle, to find any new strategies. I was too comfortable. Eventually, it died out or slowed down. But that was towards the end of my business venture. And I talked about this in one of my other videos on this channel, so if you want to go there and listen, go ahead and subscribe. But during the process, I had to get better and better at editing. I used CapCut to edit all my videos because I think it's super efficient, especially for short form videos. It's what I'm using to edit this video here. So my entire editing journey in the business was long and hard, just like the labor, but it was another great skill to develop. Now I can just press record on a camera, talk to it for a bit, and turn it into engaging content. Don't get me wrong though, editing was probably the most difficult and demanding jobs out of my entire business. Surprisingly, out of all the work that I've done, I think editing took the most sacrifice out of me because I loved content back then. And I still do. I love content. And back then, I wanted to make the best content for my business. But I also needed stuff to promote. Otherwise, my content is useless. Challenge 7, community events. I talked about all my events in my other video, but I'll just quickly summarize it here. Our business model included a community aspect, and our purpose was to host local car meets. We also had the opportunity to sell our clothes in person now that we had a big audience and lots of eyeballs coming to our events and watching our content. Community was probably the largest asset of my business. The fact that we gathered our entire target market into one single physical location created an incentive for other people to join. We basically created FOMO. I saw this when I read all the comments under my content saying,
how can I join the club? How do I join the club?
We got a lot of attention because of our community events, but it was a big job for us to manage, plan, and host the events. After all, it was only 2 high school graduates who managed all of this. And I created all the content and all the announcements and all the promotion and all the posts and the planning. We also had to prepare the products to sell at the community events. It was a huge responsibility, but everything taught me one lesson. Leading people is one of the most painful, most fulfilling, most difficult, and most accomplishing jobs on earth. But I haven't mentioned any product promotions yet. Challenge 8, product launches. I released new batches of products every month and we called them collections. Creating collections was a long and difficult process, of course, but we developed a really efficient system around it. It went like this: brainstorm and write down a specific theme with a color palette, write down all the products we wanted to include, come up with a catchy name, find the supply for the new products, design the collection logo, design all the products, make all the products, shoot photos and videos of all the products with models, edit and distribute all the footage, and post everything on social media. I even used the voiceover tool to promote our new collections every time we were about to release one. And I did that by telling a story behind them. What's the purpose? What's the theme? All the collections were very fun, but very hard to create. That's what made them so fulfilling. These new releases also increased our product line so that our e-commerce store had plenty of options for people to choose from. And speaking of our store, Challenge 9, our online store. We wanted to create the best online JDM store for every car enthusiast of all ages to browse around and purchase from us. The website also included blog posts about our new releases, our community events, and exclusive behind the scenes footage. The main struggle here was that we kept changing the website from time to time. And if you have a website for your business, you can probably relate to this. We always strived to perfect our online store to get the best conversion rate, the best response time, the best buttons and features and pages. But the main takeaway from all this is that websites will never be perfect. The point is to keep building and developing them throughout time. We constantly changed our website to test this improvement and test this page and that color and this button. There's a lot of aspects to it, but that's the best advice I can give you at this point. But there's one more major problem that I haven't solved to this day. Challenge 10, advertising. Advertising was probably the most difficult problem to solve because I had zero experience. Although I was a good content creator, advertising was not my go-to. So I had to learn the basics of Facebook and Instagram ads, meta ads. And the people who've done the same can probably relate to me when I say it is boring as hell. However, I did receive some orders from a few of my winning ads, but we never really went all in advertising and on budget. So this is still a challenge for me to figure out today. And that's the entire moral of this video. Challenges are what drive us. It's what makes us competitive and ambitious. Problems give us meaning. Solutions give us satisfaction. Systems give us efficiency. And results give us fulfillment. And none of this is possible without challenges. So if you made it to the end of the video, comment down below what are the challenges you're currently facing in life, in content creation, or in business. And thank you for watching.